Today on TTS support, Trevor Olson asks, I saw a build of Dice Forge on TTS in the Steam shop, but it didn't attach the faces to each dice. It had a reference mat instead. I think having it on the dice would be super cool. Well, Trevor, I tried to replicate what you wanted in TTS, and I really wanted to do something out of the box just so that it's accessible to everybody who uses TTS, right? So no scripting, no custom models or whatever. And the best solution I could find was basically using a dice within TTS. So this is a normal dice in TTS, and some cards. So it's important that the cards are, or at least what you're attaching to the dice is very thin, because you don't want, something thick to affect the shape of the cube or the dice, right? So all you need to do really is, if you want to change this to different face, then you can just put it on top of the die and basically attach it using the combine tool in TT, right? So just click and drag from the card to the die, and you're good. Okay, so that will stay attached, and you have a customizable dice, basically. So you can, of course, keep repeating this as much as you want, but there is a problem, as you could probably kind of determine now. Point there, just take it out. Basically, yeah, aligning it is going to be a pain for one. But I guess the biggest problem is what happens if you want to replace an existing card on top of a die, right? So if you want to replace this with something else, I mean, of course, you can always keep stacking it, but the problem is if you keep stacking it, then the shape of the dice will be affected, right? So, I mean, let's just try that, right? So it's going to become thicker and thicker, and if you attach that to the die, it's going to affect the physics of the die. So yeah, that's sort of the problem. So what happens is you need to detach the faces, right? And the moment you do that, that's where the solution just doesn't work anymore. Detach, and I don't know if you saw it, but this thing moved, right? So in other words, you have to attach this to say that's aligned properly. And then you need to attach this as well, because otherwise it's actually detached. So you can imagine just how annoying that'll be, having to attach and reattach everything once your dice is becoming more customizable, or has been customized more. Then the work just becomes very tedious and honestly quite impossible, because these things don't really stay in place all that often or all that well. So for example, if you detach it like that, it's just going to fall off like that, right? So it's going to be super difficult to do that. And so the solution I just wanted to make was create our own. And so I created a custom component for TTS called, guessed it, Customizable Dice. So it is in the workshop, and the link is in the description below. And there you go, there it is. There's the Customizable Dice, which is really cool. So it is a dice, so if you hover over it, it is a dice model. And then yeah, you can basically go through the numbers, and it will act like your normal die. You can randomize it, and it will flip over and stuff. And of course, the key feature is these custom faces, which I also needed to model, which are customizable themselves. Just go to custom and change the diffuse image to any image you like. A square image would be ideal, and the front and the back of it will change to that image. No problem. But of course, the whole function of this is we want to be able to change the die face, right? So how you do that is basically rotate your die to the face that you want to change, right? So in this case, I want to change the 1. I want to change a 1 to a 6. All right, so how I would do that is I would put the tile on top of the die, because if you try to do that by not doing that, I'll demonstrate it later, it won't work. All right, so put it on top of the die, and basically just right click on the die and choose swap faces. So this is the custom script I added to the die just to make this possible, and once you click that, oh yes, very, very satisfying, all right? So there's animation that plays, because I think with customizable dice, it's very, very important that you have that feeling that the face actually changes. So just teleporting and swapping places with each other was not an option, because I think whenever I played dice building games like Dice Forge, where you can actually customize dice, the the most satisfying part of it really is that novelty of changing the faces itself. So it was very important to me to include the animation in it. So let's say we want to change the 6 to 2. That's all you need to do. Right click and swap faces. Now what happens if you try to swap faces with something that there's no tile to swap, right? So you just need to actually put a tile on top, right click on the die, swap faces. Boom. Awesome. So yeah, there you go. That's basically it. And if you want to customize the frame, if you don't like the gray, then you can always just color tint it. So right click, color tint, and change it to any color you want, like a red, whatever. Then of course you can change that, and you can copy and paste that. You can change it to a pink, for example, or a purple. Whatever you like. Of course, let's change it to a pink. There you go. And of course the tiles, custom tiles will work. No problem. Right? And of course you can copy and paste these tiles as well. Oh my gosh. And then these will work with any of the custom dice. Oh, I changed the transparency instead of the color. Apologies. There you go. Black die right there. And yeah, everything will work with each other, and it's all cool. And yeah, bonus, if the die is a little too big for your game, you can always scale it, and then you can do the same operation. Doesn't matter how big the tiles are, really. And then just click and swap faces. Whoop. The faces automatically change in size as well and scale. So yeah, super awesome, I think. And hopefully it'll help you with your game designs. Let me know what you think of this particular custom component within TTS. If it's going to be useful for you, if you want to see more features, more stuff in it, just let me know in the comments below. So thank you so much for joining me, guys, and enjoy your customizable dice in Tabletop Simulator. Until next time.